We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Welcome back once again to the still awesome Tango Alpha Lima experience. We are not only your hosts, we're your guides through the awesomeness that is Tango Alpha Lima. I'm Jeff Daly here in Los Angeles, where it is sweaty weather. And you, Ashlee?
Sweater weather.
Sweater?
Sweater weather. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I'm doing that Invisalign. Sometimes I get a little bit of a sexy slur. I can't help it, you know.
So where are you that it's sweater weather?
I'm in the District of Maryland, Virginia area. So DMV, DC for all the folks out there.
And for those of you in a lot of states where DMV is a scary, scary place, where you wait in line for 5 hours to be told you don't have the right paperwork, get back at the end of the line. It's not that DMV. It's the general
District of Maryland and Virginia.
All right. I just want to get into this today. This is
so many things.
Some stuff. So I read a comment in my head, because nobody actually sent it, that it wanted us to really get to the beef of the situation. Now we don't have the answers to that, but another large land mammal is in the news. Ashlee, do you have that story?
All about the beef. Oh, it's so funny. You're so lovely. All right. But this story is all about bison. All right. So this is really, really cool story.
Wait,
so
can I interrupt you for one second?
Sure.
This will probably be, and hold me to this, super producer Ali, the only time that I pull a story from allaboutbison.com. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. I just don't think it's going to happen again. Please, Ashlee, I apologize. I had to get that out there. All about bison.
Well, I'm really happy you were able to curate some things. Look at you. Okay. All right. So, Jeff, you're going to enjoy this thoroughly, as many of our alphas shall. So the Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton was given 14 Plains bison from San Diego Zoo from 1973 to 1979. I know you're thinking alphas, okay. But today, the bison herd consists of approximately 90 individual bison. Along with another herd in Santa Catalina Island, the herd on Camp Pendleton is one of the only 2 wild conservation herds of bison in all of California. Now, while the main herd consistently holds around 40 to 50 bison, there are multiple bachelor herds. That's right. Just for you, Jeff, bachelor herds scattered throughout the base. They roam between the Delta and Charlie training areas and Zulu impact area in Case Springs. The Camp Pendleton Game Warden's Office monitors the bison population on base, keeping track of their genetic diversity, overall health, total population. They're expecting about 15 to 20 calves to be born in April 20, such and such, right? So, uniquely enough, bison can grow up to 6 feet tall, weigh over 2,000 pounds. While it may seem that their massive size would slow them down, they're actually incredibly agile for their size, and they're able to run up to 35 miles per hour. So the game warden advises base patrons to maintain a distance of 100 feet while observing them. So there's essentially a bison management plan in place, and they follow it extensively, says Mike Tucker, the chief game warden for MCB at Camp Pendleton. We give them their space, and they live naturally and only intervene in certain situations. So the game wardens of Camp Pendleton focus on protecting the environment while prioritizing Marines' capability to effectively train. So bison and Marines coexist together in this beautiful ecosystem. I love this, right? And for about 50 years ago, right, San Diego Zoo entrusted Camp Pendleton to care for this herd, and they've been doing that exact thing And they've done a really great job both maintaining the environmental security of the different species, but also continuing as long as they can call the base their home. So how about that? I didn't know that.
Before we get deep into this, I got a couple of things to point out. I find this article offensive.
Oh boy.
And no, seriously.
Go on.
Bachelors? How do they know they don't identify as LGBTQ bison, and they might be life partnered with their other male bison. I just point that out right there. So
I made a bisexual joke. I'm actually really proud of you. As a bisexual woman, I'm really interested right now. You are.
Well, this is about things. But you're not 2,000 pounds and can run 35 miles an hour. So
the camera,
which is
I
also
lose pounds on the camera.
That's also very scary, effect. By the way. Very scary that a 2,000 pound animal can run 35 miles an hour. I'm going to stay quite a bit further than 150 feet. I'm probably going to fly a drone over them and observe them that way. But I do think that this is a great kind of pairing, because there's a lot of space at Camp Pendleton, like a lot of space that's unused, and to have this as part of their mission really kind of broadens their impact on the community. And just like every large organization, community relations is important, and they are protecting a species, which this article doesn't go into it because it's all about bison.com. If you want to advertise on Tango Alpha Lima, contact super producer Holly. So if we don't tell the story about, this doesn't tell the story about how the population of bison were really brought down because of the war with the Native Americans. In early American history, it was thought that if you get rid of their food source, the skins also helped with their clothing and shelter. If you got rid of all that, the Native Americans would just go away. So a lot of animals were slaughtered for that. And I think it was a duty really of the government to bring this animal back from endangered, and it's not endangered right now, but this is people trying to put it on back on the endangered list, but to bring the population back, because it is a population that was here before settlers showed up. There were people here, but before the settlers showed up. And yeah, America give them back some of what they took away.
Thank you, Ranger Daly.
Yeah.
For your passion about bisons.
Hey, I went to a website called All About Bison. What do you expect?
You learned today.
We have a guest today who is not 2,000 pounds, and I'm pretty sure she can't run 35 miles an hour, but impressive nonetheless. And as a Marine, I would protect her existence as well. Today, we'll be joined by U.S. Coast Guard veteran Ashlee Leppert. Ashlee flew hundreds of rescue missions during her active duty service, saving many lives. She was recognized by President Trump during the 2018 State of the Union address for the rescue work she and her crew performed during Hurricane Harvey. And she shares that experience and more in her memoir, The Hurricane Within. We're going to be back to talk with Ashlee 2 E's right after the break.
If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. With passage of the PACT Act, the government is ready to be held accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Get your free case review. Call True Law at 833-686-4242. That's 833-686-4242, or visit justicecamp.lejeune.com/TAL. Raising money for your American Legion programs has never been so easy. Terry Lynn Fundraising offers customized fundraising programs, dedicated support, discounts and incentives, and premium products for your members to sell. We're talking delicious nuts, confections, and snack mixes that will keep your supporters coming back for more. You can see how simple and effective Terry Lynn can be to use for your next fundraiser when you request a free tasting sample at terrylynn.com/AL. Check it out and get ready to have the most successful fundraiser yet. Visit terrylynn.com/AL.
And we are back. We are in it here, the Tango Alpha Lima experience. We have author, inspirational speaker, and U.S. Coast Guard Ashlee Leppert. Ashlee, welcome to the experience of Tango Alpha Lima. How are you today?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Now I'm gonna get confused with you both here. I'm gonna call Ashlee Marie, and I'm gonna call Ashlee Leppert, Ashlee. So if I say Ashlee Marie, don't look at me. I'm not talking to you. All right. And I'm going to keep it simple for our guest because she's the VIP and we're just here. Okay. How this works. I'm Jeff, by the way. Nice to meet you. You see your namesake spelled differently. She gets the first question always. I've been fighting for that in contract negotiations to ask the first question, but I've been losing. So Ashlee Marie, you get the first question. Boom.
I'm a Chris Voss negotiations champ, so I'm always winning. So Ashlee, welcome to the show. I want to kick things off and I want to talk about your journey through the U.S. Coast Guard. You've done a lot of amazing things. I want all of our alphas to hear about your epic saga and journey in the U.S. Coast Guard.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ashlee, for having me on. I already know I like you. I mean, your name says it all. So you're kind of a big deal. I'll start with that. So I have sort of a long story. I don't know where you'd like me to begin, but I can, I'll just give you cliff notes. And if there's something that you want to expand on, feel free to ask me. But basically, I had a love for serving my country and the love of water. I was on the high school swim team. So I think collectively, all those different dynamics really led me to wanting to join the Coast Guard. And I joined in 2005, went to boot camp, was stationed all over like Puerto Rico, North Carolina, Maryland, and finally ended my career out of Air Station New Orleans, which is where I had some of the intense hurricane rescues in Hurricane Harvey, which sort of culminated, I guess, a little bit of me wanting to share my story through my book, The Hurricane Within. So I kind of had a crazy career, but just wanted to break every boundary that was placed before me and really just try to serve my country the best that I could.
Well, that's fabulous. I would love to learn a little bit more of, as we kind of dip into the inspiration for your book. So towards the end of your career, you know, I would love to dive a little bit more into that.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll expand a little bit on my actual job title. So I was an avionics electrical technician, which is a mouthful, but basically what that's deduced down to is I was in charge of maintaining all of the navigations equipments, the communications, basically any type of electronic basically that was meant to keep the helicopter flying. The second part of that is I was also on the rescue flight crew. So when there was a mission that we were sent out to do, I would be a part of a 4-person crew, flight mech, rescue swimmer, and then your pilot, co-pilot to go out and do various missions depending on the call, of course. And Hurricane Harvey was one of the biggest calls that I've gotten in my life to go out and save people from that devastation. So that was quite impactful in my personal and professional life.
Oh, so you're out there saving people, and you have a job title. I'm more likely to remember the description. I'm just a Marine. We don't. That's a lot of syllables that you use there, and I can't keep up. So you had this awesome career. And she's being a little humble, Ashlee Marie. She's not talking about the 16 medals and awards throughout her career, including the prestigious Air Medal and 2 achievement medals. Why are you being so humble?
Well, I mean, I think that you can agree, my fellow military person here that we just go to work to do our job, and like the medals and awards, I mean, yes, they're cool and I'm proud of them and all, but I don't think anybody truly goes out and does a mission hoping for an award. They just really want to impact people's lives. So I just try to stay humble. And I think, that's a big part of who I am, is not making it about me, because I didn't go out and do any of these missions by myself. And I didn't do anything on my own. It's always a team effort. So the awards are great, but I'm just thankful that there are people alive on this earth today for our work. I think that's truly the better award, is knowing that people are alive and safe.
Wow. I think we're done here. We've gotten our lesson.
Mic drop.
We're all going to be better people now for just knowing you, Ashlee double E. I was going to call you Ashlee 2 E's. No, Ashlee E. Anyway, I'll figure it out by the end of the show how to differentiate you two. So you had this career, and then it ended in a way that you didn't plan or want, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So it was kind of a culmination of a few different variables, but primarily I had been dealing with some underlying health concerns that I didn't quite know what was going on with me. And when I got back from the hurricane, I think it truly was, the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was overwhelmed, obviously, as you can imagine, in that sort of high stress environment. And I think it exacerbated some of my health concerns. And so I immediately went to the flight doc, and I told him everything that I was feeling, and I was grounded from flying, and I was sent to all these doctors to try to figure it out. But long story short there, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called myasthenia gravis, as well as post-traumatic stress disorder. So those two things combined sort of ended my career early. But in that moment, of course, I was upset. I loved what I did, and I wanted to continue doing my full 20. But, God is great, and he put me on another path, which I've been so blessed to experience. So just trying to make the best of what hand is dealt to me.
Well, I was gonna ask about your book, but I'm not the reader. I'm gonna leave that one to Ashlee.
I am the in-house librarian, the bookkeeper. I am the reader of things, all the things. And I would love to hear more about your memoir, Ashlee, and the inspiration obviously behind that, The Hurricane Within. I want to know. Tell me your story.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. And I'm like you, Ashlee. I love reading books. And to be honest with you, I'm not a writer. I had so much help with formulating my story that I cannot take full credit for doing it by myself. But I also, being that I loved reading books, I knew kind of what it took to keep a good, interesting story going. So the reason I shared my story is because throughout my whole life, I had dealt with a lot of different traumatic instances that I had never dealt with. I'm sure you guys can all relate, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners are probably shaking their head like, yeah, me too. But we all deal with trauma, and not dealing with it, unfortunately, has its consequences. And I dealt with that the hard way. And so I really wanted to open up my entire life story, not just make it about the hurricane rescues, but I really wanted to share with everybody the good, bad, and the ugly that I had gone through in my life, and just to be vulnerable and show people that they are not alone in their struggles. And most importantly, to talk about my faith. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus Christ and what he's done in my life. And that is very important for me to share, because I don't believe that I would be here with you guys today if it weren't for my faith. And so I think all of those reasons collectively just gave me the courage. And I often joke with people that this is probably the bravest thing that I did, not flying in the hurricane, but sharing my whole life for the world to read was probably the scariest and bravest thing that I ever done. But if just one person is inspired or finds healing or finds their faith, then it is all worth my personal, scared feelings.
Wow. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you're not seeing the book cover behind her. She's also an excellent set decorator. I'd just like to throw that out there. Great job on that, Ashlee.
Thank you.
So You could also name your second memoir instead of The Hurricane Within, The Humility Within, because you continue to do wonderful things and yet you still defer to the team, which I actually love. And that's part of the leadership model I follow. Is not all about me. It's about everybody else. And hopefully I just help create an environment for other people to excel. But so this hurricane story, it's I see words here. One of your themes in your inspirational speaking is thriving versus surviving. I actually know what those words mean. Unlike your job title on the Coast Guard, I'm gonna have to Google that later. But can you explain your interpretation and what you communicate to people when you talk about thriving versus surviving?
Sure, Jeff. So, like I said earlier, I think we can all agree with that underlying trauma. No matter what the traumatic experience is, we all deal with it. If you're a human being, you've dealt with some sort of trauma. And for most of my life, I was just surviving. I was just getting through the day. I was just going to work, doing my job, and not really trying to heal or become a whole human being myself, and dealing with some traumatic experiences. So when I talk about thriving, I realized once that I was able to actually process my pain and look past all the hurtful things. I mean, I lost my mom, I lost my dad, I was a part of a sexual assault, and I had my struggles with drinking. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I went through in my life that I was just sort of waking up and getting through and being numb to all the emotions that come along with that. And, when I got back from the hurricane and I was dealing with these symptoms, I sort of just had, I guess, if you will, a kind of cry out to God moment where I was like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I've been doing it my way my whole life, God. I really want to surrender to you. I need help. I just said this prayer. And it truly was a groundbreaking moment for me where I knew that from that moment on, I was never going to be the same, that I was going to not go out and just survive through life, but thrive and enjoy this beautiful life that God had given me. And it really is important for me to share that because I think a lot of the world today is under this stigma of we just have to keep everything inside and be strong, especially in the military and first responder role. I mean, we're so quick to help other people, yet we are struggling sometimes to help ourselves. And I just want to break that boundary. And, if we could all just collectively talk about our traumatic experiences together and heal with one another and learn with one another, I mean, what a beautiful, inspiring, empowering world that would be. That's what I think anyway.
Wow. Again, we can all go home now and we're better off from having you on the show. I just, before I throw it back to Ashlee, I've always said that every human being has gone through trauma because if we had better memories, I would say childbirth was probably the biggest trauma. I mean, you were in the most luxurious home that you'll ever have. You were fed, the temperature was perfect, you were protected. And then you're shoved into this world. And I do believe that process probably would be traumatic if we had great memories. That's all I'm saying. So we do all have trauma. Ashlee.
Jeff, you are such a fascinating individual. Just talk about trauma, ladies and gentlemen, and this man's all the way back his time in the womb.
The original trauma.
Here, like the original trauma. No, Ashlee, I commend you. I think it's incredibly inspirational, and thriving versus surviving is real. It really is. I think there's a lot of power through healing through words and through self-affirmation, a lot of self-acceptance and being able to give yourself grace, especially when times are hard. I think as military folks, we're all conditioned to be resilient. And there is a point that all of us break, right? And the young lady that I know, she commonly refers to as her rock bottom was a trampoline. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I think it's all about your perspective and your mindset and how you view your traumas, right? We focus a lot on post-traumatic post-traumatic stress disorder or post-traumatic stress. But we don't focus a lot on the post-traumatic growth and the things that can come from those opportunities when we sit with ourselves and our emotions and the things that we've been told externally to just hold in place, right? We can only compartmentalize so much. And I think it's incredibly motivating that you're able to be vulnerable, right? I think that is in itself a superpower. So I thank you. And I think you're absolutely lovely. So it's always so nice to have like-minded folks on the show who are just crushing it. Like I will watch me. I will watch me kind of gal. And, your zest for life and your faith through, Jesus Christ and all of the things that have come to pass, right? It's serendipity in many ways. Like we don't ask for these things to happen. They happen. And as we survive, we then realize that we can thrive. So it's more of a summary in general statements, but I would just be remiss if I didn't say it.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate all your words of encouragement, and it truly does validate what I'm doing now. You asked me a few years ago if I'd be ever, public speaking or sharing my story in a book. That would be a very big no. I was very comfortable being by myself in a helicopter fixing things, and now I'm sort of thrust into a whole different career field. But it's such a blessing. Every single day I feel blessed and honored just to be able to share my story and have it impact people. It really is humbling, to say the least.
Yes, there it is. So I'm thinking here, and this is always dangerous. I don't even know what's going to happen next. Now, you did say at the beginning of the show that, or before you got on the show, that you're an open book and we can ask you anything. I'm going to take you up on that in a second. But first, you do the public speaking, and what are the audiences that you speak to, and what are I see the words that I'm supposed to ask are supposed to talk about your inspirations and aspirations to inspire each other. That is a lot of S's and syllables, but does that aspire to inspire you to say anything, that phrase there?
Yes. It inspires a lot inside me, but I will say this, I wake up every single day, and whether it's on social media or on the news or talking to people in my community, this world needs inspiration now more than ever, I believe, in life. And there's too many people that are hurting and too many people that feel lost, especially in our veteran and first responder communities. And I want to die one day knowing that I tried everything I absolutely could to help those, because I was once that person who was hurting. I was once that person who was lost. And I would feel remiss if I did not at least attempt every single day to try to bring hope and inspiration and faith into the lives of those who I truly do feel need it more than ever.
And again, you are the walking soundbite, and the cool thing about it is it all seems sincere. It's all sincere, and it talks to universality of humanity. That's a t-shirt, Ashlee Marie. The universality of humanity.
With Jeff's face on it, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Hashtag. That's a long hashtag. It's a lot more syllables than I'm used to as well. So you told us before the show, you proved that you will answer any question, and I asked her what she had for breakfast, and I believe the answer, it was a stuffed jalapeno.
Yeah, so my husband grilled up these awesome stuffed jalapeno poppers wrapped in bacon. They were delicious. There was 2 left over. They looked so sad and needing to be eaten this morning. So, did them a favor and devoured them with my vitamins, and I'm feeling A-okay.
I mean,
that's a vibe. That's a vibe, ladies and gentlemen.
We've learned 7 things today, which we have from you, the 8th thing is jalapeno poppers is now the new breakfast of champions. I'm gonna give all the credit to you when you're here. I'm gonna take credit for it when you're not here because
Hey, I appreciate your honesty. That's awesome. You can have it. Maybe just do another hashtag like the one up from eggs and bacon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, jalapenos and bacon. I mean, that's taking everything that's delicious. You could have shoved some.
It makes me want a burrito. It makes me want like a burrito with like salsa and chorizo. See, now I'm hungry. Now we're on a whole nother thing right now.
See where we take you, Ashlee? We take you and we distract you.
I'm here for the journey. I'm here for the vibes. I'm here for motivation. I'm here for the jalapeno poppers. The book.
We distract you with things, and but then we want to come back and go, boom. Where can we find you? Where can we learn about you? And where can we get more of this?
So, all right. So I have a website. It is ashleeleppert.com. That is where you can inquire about different speaking engagements or order an autographed copy of a book. Also, if you're into the audibles or the ebook, I don't blame you. I kind of dig them myself. So if you go to Amazon and search The Hurricane Within, there's a bunch of different options for my book there. And I also have a Facebook page called The Hurricane Within. I usually post a lot of my local events or different just inspiring messages and some pictures from my flying career. So those are the ways that you can reach out to me. And I really appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to share that.
Well, awesome. If you're ever in LA, my post has, let's see, 2 Coast Guard veterans in a post of 1,300. I'm sure they would love to meet you and hear your inspiration. Our department commander actually is a Coastie, and I call him the Department Commander of Shallow Water Rescue. And he tells me to shut up and eat a crayon. That's the love. That is the love.
I love it.
I just say I'm here for you. I'm an Army gal. I'm here for all of you. Just let me know. Let me know when you need me.
Water people are talking.
Sorry, I'm by land. You're going to need me eventually.
Hey, when the Marines give me a hard time, I just mention Guadalcanal of 1943 and throw out a little fun fact for them. And they remember the Coast Guard bailed them out that one time. So, you know.
I love the exception that proves the rule that the Marine Corps is doing. If you can point out something in 1943 where somebody bailed out the Marines, I'm going to say most of the time we do pretty well. I mean,
touche.
You got to eat those. You need jalapeno poppers and crayons, and then things will happen. So I love the look of the book. I love the words that have come out of your mouth. I understood 98% of them, except that job title. And I'm going to get there, though. I'm going to get there. So I want to encourage all the alphas to get on Amazon or her website, actually, so you can get an autographed copy, because I'm sure even the signature is inspirational. And then you can get the Audible as well and share this episode with people, because we talk about a lot of things, but if you're not inspired and you're not thriving, then what are you even doing? You're just surviving. To me, surviving is waiting to no longer exist. Thriving is enjoying that existence. So thank you again for being on the show. Ashlee Marie is over there grinning, so I know she had a good time with you. Super producer Holly has a little subtle smile. She's not shaking her finger at us or anything like that. So apparently this went really, really well. Thank your husband for the making the jalapeno poppers and having that come on the show. And we're going to actually talk about you, but you're not going to be here. It's just going to be us and our alphas. You can see it later, but I think it's going to be all good. What do you think, Ashlee Marie?
It's going to be just fine, Ashlee. Don't he talks a lot of hype. It's just that, you know.
All right, Ash, at least I know you have my back here, girl.
I got you. See, that's why I'm here.
What are you talking about? She's got your 6, I got your 12, your 9, and your 3.
Woo! All right, this is my squad here.
This is 360 coverage. Nobody's going to get to you. Okay, so we are going to do that. We're going to talk about you and get our takeaways from this. I don't know how we're going to narrow it down. So many things, or as Ashlee says,
all the things.
She says all the things, and we're going to do all that with our alphas after this break.
Honoring those who came before us. The American Legion pays perpetual respect for all past military sacrifices to ensure they are never forgotten by new generations. We are veterans strengthened in America. We are the American Legion.
Okay, Ashlee, once again, we have a guest that makes me feel insignificant. So that's my takeaway right now. I'm just amazed at the sheer perspective. I mean, the perspective of someone who has, all the accomplishments that she has, and she can break that down into something that us normal mortal people can take and model our life after, and staying humble the entire time. Like the humility, if you could get a medal for being the most humble, which would kind of be counterintuitive, but if you could get a medal for being the most humble, I think she should give it. She probably wouldn't give a speech, but because the humility thing, but I would nominate her for that. So, you're on mute. Are we having a dog barking issue?
So what I will say is that Ashlee was very impressive. I enjoyed her concept of, surviving versus thriving. I think that's an important distinction, especially in the military community as well as first responders. And that all too often we find ourselves in a position where we're compartmentalizing so much so that, unless we leave a little pressure on the valve every once in a while, combustion is inevitable. And I think she is an example for all to follow, and I really look forward to reading her book. So very impressed. And also, Jeff, you said perspective like 3 times, and I thought that was my bingo card word, so I'm just throwing it out there for fair game, fair trade, and marketing. Just watch yourself. Okay.
I think if you're new, if you weren't around in the first season, you have a great weekend ahead of you catching up, and I recommend doing so. But
yes, please.
We had these things. It was for bingo things because there were things that recurred, and Ashlee would talk about perspective. And what was the other thing?
Standpoint.
Yes, perspective and standpoint. From a eating your vegetables standpoint, I'm really high on my breakfast perspective. It's really changed that, and I'm going to peel back the onion, but I'm not eating that until dinner. So,
I think it's adorable that I have turn of phrases that folks know. Okay, I think it's great. Like these are Ashleeisms, and I'm just going to embrace all of it. I have no shame.
All right, we're now leaving the Ashlee humility section, and we're going to your favorite part of the show, the rapid fire. All right, our guest was from the Coast Guard. Unrelated, this story is from the Coast Guard. Also unrelated, it happens in Alaska, where super producer Holly did not take me on a dream story that she worked on there, and I'm still sad about that to this day. And I'm going to keep it together and read this. This is in military times. A U.S. Coast Guard ship on routine patrol in the Bering Sea came across a guided missile cruiser from China, officials said on Monday. But it turned out the cruiser wasn't alone, as it sailed about 86 miles north of Alaska's Kiska Island. On September 19th, the Coast Guard cutter Kimball later discovered that there were 2 other Chinese naval ships and 4 Russian vessels, including a destroyer, all in single formation. The Honolulu-based Kimball, a 418-foot vessel, observed that the ships broke formation and dispersed. A C-130 Hercules provided air support for the Kimball from the Coast Guard station in Kodiak. While the formation is operated in accordance with international rules and norms, we will meet presence with presence to ensure there are no disruptions to U.S. interests in the maritime environment around Alaska, Rear Admiral Nathan Moore, 17th Coast Guard District Commander, said. I love hearing from the Coast Guard. We will meet presence with presence. And Russia and China are getting together like, you have siblings. I'm not touching you. They're like right here. I'm not
giving
touching
me some
you.
Red October vibes.
And I'm not, but then I'm not touching you. Like they're going right up to the line of, we haven't crossed your line. We haven't crossed your line. Don't do anything. You can't do anything. Why are both Holly and Ashlee sticking their fingers in the camera?
I don't know which way you are. This is gonna post. I'm just
so they're just poking you, alphas, right in the camera. So is this another step towards disaster for the world?
Well, it's an excellent question, Jeff. It's an excellent question, and I wish I was a national security, international relations master's aficionado, right? Like I'm limited in my knowledge of national security. Like just because I am a veteran, it does not default that I know everything. But you know, when you've got folks that are, you know, just sitting there within proximity, just, you know, towing the line right on danger zone, like
they're trying to start some shiz. See, I said shiz. I didn't say the other one. So you don't have to be an international relations expert. That's why I gave everyone out there that sibling analogy. If they're up there 2 inches from your nose, even though they didn't touch you, they're trying to start some shiz. Am I right?
You're not incorrect, Jeff.
And it's like there's 2 of them, 2 big bullies coming over. How are you going to pick on the Coast Guard, by the way? 2 big bullies over there poking the poor Coast Guard. I don't know. This could be trouble. I'm watching, and rapid fire number 2 is going to scare you even more. Are you ready for rapid fire number 2? Keep this one in context with rapid fire 1. U.S. warns Putin of catastrophic consequences over nuclear weapons. This is in Reuters. This is not task and purpose for those of you who are offended whenever I use that link. Washington, September 25th. The United States would respond decisively to any Russian use of nuclear weapons against Ukraine, as has spelled out to Moscow the catastrophic consequences it would face. U.S. National and Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on Sunday. Sullivan's remarks represented the latest American warning following the thinly veiled nuclear threat made by Vladimir Putin last Wednesday in a speech in which the Russian president also announced his country's first wartime military mobilization since World War II. Military mobilization meaning he's making civilians fight. It's less than a draft. I don't think they go to boot camp. If Russia crosses this line, there will be catastrophic consequences for Russia. The United States will respond decisively, Sullivan told NBC's Meet the Press program. Sullivan did not describe the nature of the planned U.S. response in his comments on Sunday, but said the United States is privately to Moscow spelled out in greater detail exactly what that would mean. Sullivan said the United States has been in frequent direct contact with Russia, including the last few days, to discuss the situation in Ukraine and Putin's actions and threats. I like that method. Again, another weird example. I played co-ed soccer in a league a few years ago, and there was a guy who clearly has not played since he got cut from his junior varsity soccer team. He was running around, shoulder checking people, knocked one of the women on my team out, and not out, knocked her out of bounds and onto the ground and stuff. And it was a pretty good hit. So instead of yelling at him, I just went over and whispered to him, if you touch any one of the players on my team again, I will end you. And he never touched another player on my team again for the rest of the game. And I feel like the United States, instead of getting into the on-camera, macho talking back and forth, which always escalates because you have to escalate. I think they whispered to him, do something stupid, we're coming for you. That's what I think is going on. And considering Russia can't handle what would be a mid-sized state in the United States, I think they better listen. But it also scares me because of the other thing that we just read. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Ashlee, speechless?
I have been following this for a while. As someone who intimately trained for CBRN operations as a military police sergeant. It is a terrifying thought to think of an exclusionary line anywhere in Ukraine, considering the way that their war, right, our war, this war is being fought. The fact that the idea of we're going to escalate and talk nuclear, like that is not just immediate threat to Ukrainians, but every surrounding EU nation, and for America and all of its allies. It would be by far one of the dumbest things. Like you gotta be so full of yourself. You gotta be willing to press that button to completely destroy your own country economically in any sort of capacity of growth. Like this individual is putting his entire country, at the end all be all. Like they're flipping a switch and they're not going to be able to go back from this.
He's putting them in danger.
What's that?
He's putting them in danger. I'll just say it.
He's putting them in danger. Oh, yes. Jeffrey. Oh, it's actually very clever. I'll give you that. That's very clever. But yeah, he's putting his whole country in danger. And at some point, I mean, if anyone who's studied revolutions, we are in the makings of something quite tremendous. And obviously, given the censorship level of Russia, I would not put it past me if this got to a point where civilians, their citizens, revolted. I mean, if you got one person who, it's getting to that point. I mean, I'm speculating here, and I've already previously said I'm not someone who studies, national security, international relations frequently enough to know all the intricacies, but this is dangerous. This is dangerous. This is millions of lives lost and years of fallout. We've learned from Chernobyl, right? Why on earth would we? There's going to be you're right. It's towing the line and they're poking the bear. Yep.
The Russian bear. Is that what super producer Ollie's miming? The Russian bear.
The Russian bear. They're oof.
Yep. I don't see things ending well if they aren't convinced to stand down. And by the way, if you are Russia claiming to be a superpower in this world and you have to resort to a nuclear weapon to beat Ukraine, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about Ukraine, but they've never claimed to be a superpower. Russia acts like they are a superpower equal to, the worldwide champion.
Well, Putin has this vision of grandeur that he wants to restore the former empire. And that is just a wild thing to think about in the 21st century, when you have the establishments of states who have, or countries and stuff who have broken off and respectfully either, joined the UN or whatever the case may be, right? Like it's absurd to think about the parts of territory, because wouldn't parts of their territory, and I could be mistaken here, parts of their territory would extend into China or Mongolia? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, if you're just gonna go after Ukraine, it's just, I don't know. I don't understand the logistics behind this. I think it's madness.
Vlad didn't say it himself, but one of his minions hinted that the U.S. should give Alaska back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's our last frontier.
I think the
Good luck.
governors. I think the governor
veterans up
said
there
words.
would. Oh no.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
I think the governor said, "Come and get it," or words to that effect. That's a military thing. Whenever they wanted to bust you in the military, he told the general to kiss his behind, or words to that effect, which means he didn't say that at all. So that's our rapid fire today. What about? Do you have a final shot or a shout out that you want to sneak in?
I don't have a particular shout out today. I don't.
What? You can shout out me. I'm here for it.
I shout at you often in text, off the air,
Yes. All
on
caps.
the phone, all caps, all aggressive, all aggression. Yep.
All kinds of aggression. All right. So can you do me a solid and take us out?
Of course. So for all you alphas out there, do not forget to subscribe to the Tango Off Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume your podcasts. Please leave us a review and give us a big old 5-star rating so that the world knows how much you love us. Aw. And if you have a guest recommendation, we definitely want to hear from you. Go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima and click on the suggest a guest link. All about it. Let's do it.
I'm gonna give a shout out to a civilian alpha, my friend Jennifer Barker Kuskowski, which I know at least Holly met in New York, and she's my friend that came and had beers with us in CV. She discovered Spotify. It may have always been there, but I've never seen it. You can rate us 5 stars on Spotify now. It was always there. Have I just never seen it? Well, many of you may not have seen it. You can't do it on individual episodes, but the overall podcast, you can rate us 5 stars there as well. And obviously you can YouTube and iTunes, and you can spread the alpha love far and wide. I can't understand what Holly's saying. By the time I'm done, maybe she'll type it in a chat. She wants Alexa or something. Oh, now I'm going to set off my thing. Hold it. So you can rate us everywhere. You can rate us everywhere. You should rate us everywhere. And we would love her. Oh, you can ask her to play. You can ask her to play this podcast on your Echo. Amazon, we are accepting applications to sponsor the show. We just gave you Echo and Alexa for free, like your 2-day shipping that I use often. So with that, I'm going to make a declaration that episode 129er is mission complete.